Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're out here with all our dogs today, including Whiskey, who is not a livestock guardian, but he's in the video anyway because he's sweet. But we're out here to talk about training your livestock guardians for poultry. So all our birds, rampaging dogs, all our birds are loose right now. Let's go over there and take a look at them. And I just want to talk about some of the differences between training for poultry versus other livestock. Because we love our birds. We need them safe from wildlife. Hence, the livestock guardian dogs. Okay, so that's why we have the Great Pyrenees. However, we also need to keep them safe from the dogs. Okay, so we need to keep our birds safe from dogs, including our own dogs. Most livestock guardian breeds are not originally intended to protect poultry. They're not originally intended to protect your chickens, your ducks, your turkeys. They are originally intended, this is vodka, but they're originally intended to protect mammals. Okay? They're originally intended to protect your sheep, your goats, your cattle, stuff like that. So because of that, it can be a little bit difficult to train them to protect poultry. Okay? It's hard to train them to protect poultry sometimes. Not all the times, but sometimes. So you are responsible for both your birds and your dogs. You're responsible for their safety. You're responsible for making sure everybody is happy and healthy. Dogs, especially even livestock guardian dogs, need additional training in order to protect the chickens. What are you doing? She's like, nothing. Chicken was in my way. Yeah, is chicken in your way? Okay, go play. Vodka. Sorry, I was watching the dogs play. So tequila's just, by the way, in the beginnings of heat, so I just have to keep an eye and make sure he doesn't breed her yet. We're not interested in puppies right now. She's still too young. That's why sometimes I pause and keep an eye on what's going on. Anyway, not the point. So, because livestock guardians are originally, thank you, Whiskey, are originally intended to protect mammals, they bond better to mammals. Because you have to remember, chickens and ducks have entirely different ways of bonding. Okay? Chickens like to dust bathe. They like to peck and scratch in the dirt. They like to perch. They like to cluck at each other. None of these are things dogs do. Dogs like to play and chew on sticks together and go running and even go barking together. They really do not do well eating goobers. Excellent. But they really do not do the things that chickens do. So sometimes wanting your dogs and your chickens to bond is just not going to happen. Okay, and that's okay. Cats are having a little tiff, so the dogs are breaking it up. But sometimes your chickens and your dogs are just not going to actually bond. And expecting them to might be too much to expect. Okay, it's not really fair to expect them to do that. Sometimes the best you can do, Tequila, come here, I want to film you. But sometimes the best you can do is to get them to ignore the birds. Okay, that might be the best thing, at least for a while. If you can get your dogs to protect your territory and get the chickens to stay in that territory, then the chickens end up protected by default, and really strong bonding is not necessary. Okay? I'm just looking behind me, there's a goat. But strong bonding was not necessarily that important. Okay? Vodka, you're too big. You're too big for that. You're going to squish them. Anyway, let's go back and see if we can find the birds. Tequila's playing under the fence. But, so the best you can sometimes do is to get the dog to ignore the birds. Best case scenario sometimes. And that's enough. Okay, they don't have to get along. They don't have to be best friends. Ignoring each other is enough. Okay, it's absolutely 100% enough for them to do that. They may eventually bond and form a relationship, and that's totally fine, and that's good. You can allow that bond to develop later. At the beginning, you should probably just focus on getting them to ignore each other. Get the birds to ignore the dogs, and the dogs to ignore the birds, and everything is generally fine then. Okay, that should be your focus. Instead of focusing on getting everyone to adore each other, love each other, instead get them to just not care. That's generally the best way to go about it. Because remember, it's all about safety first, especially for your birds. You do not want an accident to happen. So safety first, bonding later. Your best bet for getting your dog to successfully guard your poultry is, one, to start with a dog from working lines. Might be food. Gotta go check. There might be a snack. Food motivated. But if you get your dogs from working lines, they're more likely to have been exposed to poultry at a young age, because most people raising working dogs have chickens and such. So it's absolutely okay to get a dog that already was exposed to chickens, and it's even recommended. So try with a working line dog. Where's the chickens? Whiskey, stop barking. But try with a working line dog, because working line dogs are more likely to give you what you want. Okay? You also have to have the patience and the time. Patience and time is really, really important. You need to be patient enough to get your dog to bond. And you need... Whoa, I almost got run over. And you need to have the time to do the training. So you have to be patient enough. I think I said to bond. I didn't mean that. But you have to be patient enough to work with your dog every day and have the time to do it. Not everybody's got the time. So before getting your livestock guardian to protect your birds, make sure you kind of know what you're getting in for. Okay? Trying to get that chicken back? Thank you. She likes to keep the chickens together, so that's what we do. She's making sure they're all in the same place. Anyway, that's not the point. But you want to remember that your dog's failures are probably yours. I know that's harsh to hear, and sometimes it's really harsh to say, but if your dog kills a bird, it's because you didn't bring your A game. You weren't paying enough attention. You weren't doing what you should have been doing. You left them alone too young. And you don't want that. You don't want to let your dogs and your birds down by letting them get hurt. So make sure you're on top of it. Make sure you know and understand that protecting poultry is not the same as protecting mammals. Be patient. Take the time. And make very sure that you are not just throwing them out there with the birds and leaving them with no practice. Are the dogs safe with the birds once they've been trained and once they understand that we're not going to eat the birds? Sure. But it isn't a natural instinct for all livestock guardians. Okay? Some of them take to it really easily. Like Tequila's really good with the birds. But not all of them do. So you need time. You need patience. Get your dog from a working line. Whether they're purebred or not is less important than whether or not they come from working parents. So if you get a livestock guardian that's a combination of 2 or 3 livestock guardian breeds, that's okay. It's more important that the parents are working dogs. Okay, that's what you're looking for. If the parents are working dogs and you put in the time and you have the patience, then you might be okay. Just remember that not every single livestock guardian takes to it supernaturally, and some of them go and eat horse poop. You know, sometimes that's what we do. Sometimes we just go eat horse poop. What else are you going to do with your day? Nothing. So just remember that your dog's failures are probably your fault. It's not typically the fault of the dog. They're just doing what dogs do. And you failed to rein them in. You failed to make sure that they weren't doing anything bonkers. Because we do not want injured or killed birds around here. It's really important that all of them are safe and happy. And one of the ways we keep them safe is by using our livestock guardian dogs. Those livestock guardian dogs do need a little training. And now we're going. Yeah. Now we're going. Hanging out over here on the panel. Anyway. Hi. Hi, Spark. Or Scorch. I don't know. I think your name is Spark. Is your name Spark? I think so. Anyway, that is about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. Make sure you have the time and patience to train your dogs to poultry. It may not just happen, even though we all wish it would. We'll see you tomorrow.